Hey, Doug.
Hey,
Can
Gene.
you hear me?
Yes.
You had said the other day, you talked a little bit about your frustration about not being able to get this team to play consistently as you would like. Uh, could you talk about maybe some areas with this team over the first 5 games where you're seeing growth, even though the results may not be what you want?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's obviously some drives that we're able to sustain and go and score before a half to be able to go in 2 minute, and be able to get points on the board. The completion percentage, yards per carry. You see those things and you just try to put them all together. And we've had guys make some plays and we've missed some plays out on the field. And I think defensively, there's times where we've played the run in a game, during series where we've done a nice job. There's times where, we defended the pass. There's 2 games where we were able to get on the positive of turnovers. Um, and we've been doing a better job of really trying to disrupt the quarterback, for the opposing teams. I think special teams. We had a good kickoff return. We really don't get a lot of opportunities there. I think Logan's doing a good job, and obviously we're struggling with the kicking game. So I think you can, when you look at it, you see these pieces, you see these young players where, when some of these guys that we're counting on, they do things right, they look really good, and you try to speed up that process, and you got to lay that foundation down for those guys to make plays. I think there's definite things that we need to improve upon. But in the end of the day, you try to pick out the things that you're doing well, or well at times is probably a better way to put it, and you try to put that together and be able to play a full game. I think those are the things that I'm trying to bring out and trying to do a better job of getting these guys more consistent.
One follow up. Do you feel like you are on the brink of that happening?
I know it's close. I really feel. I mean, that's what I've told the players, Gene. I mean, we've got to push. We've got to get ourselves over the top. We've got to be able to, sustain this because I think like you mentioned the word before. I think anytime that you're not winning and you're not getting that success from the wins, does cause whatever word we want to use, whether it's frustration, anxiety, disappointment. There's a lot of things that go into it, and that's the one thing that if you're feeling that or feeling sorry for yourself or feeling sorry in any regard, then you're never going to be able to push yourself to push through it and get yourself over the top. So we see things during the week that we're practicing and doing a better job of. Now it's a matter of just bringing it over into on Sunday into the game.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Gene. Let's go over to Smitter and then John Reed.
Hey, Doug. From what you've seen personally in practice this week, or maybe getting a report from Joe DeCamillis, how has John Brown looked kicking in practice?
Yeah, that's yeah, I was talking about this. Each week, with all these guys that we've had, Gary, they've looked good. Where like you walk off the field and as a coach, you're like, gosh, I feel good. You know what I mean? Like you watch them kick in practice and they're making all the field goals and everything, and that's how I've always looked at it. And I don't know if that's jinxed myself, being a person that believes in superstition. But I guess I'll jinx myself again. Yes, he's looked good. You know what I'm saying during the week, and I feel like we can put him out there and go. And I think really the other day I probably explained it well. I mean, it's you go in there and you look good in warmups and you look good, in practice, and it's kind of like what we can all relate to in our younger days and in maybe little league baseball. All of a sudden, oh, there's one wild pitch, oh, there's another wild pitch, and all of a sudden the pitcher can't throw a strike. There's a lot that goes on with the pressure of the game, but it's pressure that I've always said you put on yourself, which you can control. So, John seems to be, real even key to low key. I would say it'll be interesting to see, how he is on game day. When he goes out there, if that changes. If it doesn't, I feel really good. If it does change, then obviously then we could have issues.
and this might be a little off the wall. I looked up Logan Cook's high school stats. I mean, he hasn't kicked since he was in high school. He did no place kicking at Mississippi State, and he was obviously with a high school program that scored more touchdowns and didn't go for a lot of field goals. But he did have a pretty decent record. Did Logan ever volunteer during this process, or ever considered, or is there already too much on him with doing kickoffs and punting?
Well, we've worked on him doing PATs and field goals also, so we're ready to go that route if it occurs.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, sure. Good research there.
Thank you.
Well done, Smitter. Let's go
Well
over
done.
to John Reed.
How you doing, Coach?
I'm good, John.
When you look at a guy like Adrian Peterson and played 13 years, man, how difficult is that to do?
Yeah, I think, John, I'm going to probably get into a little bit of a story here. I remember when I was in New Orleans as a player. So this is 1989. I remember there was a running back, Dalton Hilliard, that we had, and I was standing on the sideline during the game, and I'm just watching him, take these hits and just keep bouncing off people and going in there. And the one thing I think that this game, even with the sound on the field and all the other things, the one thing, until you're close, it's almost like boxing. If you can ever get close to a ring or a sparring session, the amount of contact that you have, that thud that you feel, that thud that you hear. I remember at that time it amazed me to say, gosh, these guys it really takes. I mean, they take a lot of violent shots, because it's not close quarters like myself and as an offensive lineman or defensive lineman. There are guys running, 15, 20 yards, laying it all out and hitting these guys. So, then I was fortunate enough in New York to play with a guy, Curtis Martin, who is the oldest player to win the rushing title, and to watch how he took care of his mind and body. I mean, it was just amazing. To be around a player like that, and that's why he's obviously a Hall of Famer, and I have so much respect for him. And I think when you see Adrian Peterson and Frank Gore, these players that are still productive, that are still playing at a good level. I don't think enough can be said of what they've endured their body and how much they've had to take care of their body, because they're when they have the football in their hands, I mean, someone's going to hit them. So I think I always have a great deal of respect for anyone that has played this game for a long period of time. We're fortunate to have Keenan on our staff who played for a long period of time, and I think like I've always said, there's a lot of characteristics, there's a lot of different personalities and type of people and body types. But I always used to tell the players, the one thing that's been common with all the players that I've been around that have played over 10 years is they've all been able to take care of their bodies. You know what I'm saying? They've all been able to overcome, injuries, taking care of their bodies and being able to play at a consistent level, which is difficult to do.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep.
Appreciate it, John. I know Shipley was having some technical difficulties, but let's go over to Shipley if he's on.
Yeah, I'm good now. Hey, Coach.
Good.
Hey, with obviously DJ being listed as questionable, just how much confidence do you have in the receiving core? Because it looks like at least the young guys are growing a good bit since week one.
Yeah, I think those guys are getting better, and I think I feel good about DJ. He practiced in a limited basis today, but we ran some routes in team periods and looked good. So he's a guy that always fights to get out there. But I think obviously, like I said, with Laviska, the limited practices kind of limits us a little bit, what I'm saying, of going out there and doing a bunch of stuff with them. So I think, once we overcome that, I think you're going to see him really get better. Colin obviously is getting better for us. And I think, Chris is solid, and Keelan is really, doing a nice job. I mean, he's really having a good year. So, you look at that group and they're trying to do everything they can and be consistent and be able to get open and be able to make the plays that we need to make. So, one thing about that group, they're working extremely hard and there's talent, in that area.
Thanks, good.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Shipley. Let's go over to Mia.
Hey, Doug, kind of building off of that, I know you kind of alluded to LaVisca being limited, preventing you guys from really expanding. Maybe if you want to just expand upon that, maybe, him not being a full go in practice, if that has affected you guys from truly opening up the playbook.
I don't know if it affects. I'm not going to say that that's a reason of, like winning and losing. I'm just saying with any player, that's a skilled player, one that has unique skills, you know what I'm saying? Like LaVisca has, as a coach, you want to be able to go out and see it in practice and do it in practice and be able to do it in a game. He's always been able to show up for the games. He's always been able to, practice to some extent. So I just think it's something that we're working through, and what he's going through, he's a different type of athlete. When you look at him out there, I mean, he's a much bigger, stronger, guy, than maybe what you see at that position, and that's why we have him in the backfield and we can handle the football. We can do a lot of things with him. So I think one of the things you want to be able to do is, when you have these young players, you want to make sure that, you're teaching them it, they understand it, and they can do it, and you're not putting too much on their plate, where you can keep bringing them along and keep getting them better. So, I think those are the things that you're seeing in a couple of those young guys, whether it be LaVisca, whether it be, James, whether it be Tyler Davis. Defensively is, it's a little bit different. That might affect you a little bit more, what I'm saying, when you have some young guys and may be limited, on some of the calls that you're able to do. But these guys are doing a good job and they're trying to get it, they're trying to understand it all.
Thanks, Doug.
Sure, you're welcome.